Please join me as we continue our read in the book of Daniel. Today's read, Daniel chapter 4, verses 22 through 27. Welcome to Daily Timothy Time. My name is Karl Coates, and it's a privilege, pleasure, and an absolute joy to be with you once again with an open King James Bible. Today, Tuesday, the 17th of March, 2026. Saints, we're going to just jump straight in today. If you got your Bible, turn with me to Daniel chapter 4. And if you don't, that's okay. Enjoy the read. Enjoy the commentary too. However, whatever you hear in the way of commentary, please, like I say each and every day, take that back to your own personal Bible study. You study it out. You run the verses. And you be persuaded in your own mind. Let's get to reading. Daniel chapter 4, verse 22. It is thou, O King, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down, and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O King, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my Lord the King, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee, after that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O King, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by shewing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. Saints, this is a really interesting passage. It is a short passage. Yes, it is. Yet the last time we met, we actually covered verse 22. I just thought to get the flow of the passage, we would include verse 22 in today's read. And so here we have Daniel giving the interpretation, verse 24. This is the interpretation. And Daniel, then you read 24, you go through 25. You come the back end of 25, the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. I've got to stop there just for one moment and put a question forward. Does God today still do the same thing? What do I mean by the same thing? You see the back end of verse 25, and it says, and giveth it to, well, hang on, let's just go. In fact, let's just read verse 25 here, the back end, the last part here. In fact, let's read verse 25 again. That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Is God still appointing kingdoms to men today? Let's just look at the world as it stands today on the 17th of March 2026. You got Donald Trump running the United States of America. You got Keir Starmer running England. Italy, you've got that lady. I've just forgotten the name. If you look at Russia, you've got Vladimir Putin. If you look at Australia, got Mr. Albanese, I think his name is. Forgive me if I've butchered that name. So did God set these leaders up today? I want to say to you the following. We live in the dispensation of the grace of God. God's program, that the Gentile the Gentile rulership that we read about in Daniel, that's on pause. That's been paused. It's been on pause for 2,000 plus years now. God is not putting men into power today. God didn't put Donald Trump into power. God didn't put Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa in power. God didn't put, oh gosh, how many other leaders do I know? Viktor Orban of Hungary. God didn't put him in there. No, he didn't. Those folks, look, we vote them in, and I know there's going to be some folks that say, oh, you vote them in, but actually they get put in there by higher powers. Whoever does it, it's not God doing it today. That's my point I'm trying to make. So just keep that in mind. When you're reading verse 25 there, God is not putting men in places of rank and authority today in governments around the world. Now, if you see that differently, that's okay. Drop a comment in the comment box down below. Love to hear your thoughts on that. Anyway, let's. I want to drop down to verse 27 and spend a little bit of time with verse 27. Which is quite interesting actually. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable to thee. So Daniel's giving the king some counsel, and he says the following: and the breaking off of thy sins by righteousness. So what's Daniel doing here? He's telling Nebuchadnezzar, do right. Okay, that's what he's telling him. And I'm just reading this verse as I'm speaking to you again. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness. So do what's right, is what he's telling Nebi there, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Now here's the thing, and look at the back end of the last part of this verse is quite important. If it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. Listen, folks, in this we're going to read at the back end of this chapter that Daniel's telling Nebuchadnezzar, and we'll see it as we progress down through here. Nebuchadnezzar is going to become a madman. Said another way, he's going to suffer from lycanthropy. It's not a good thing. But Daniel's warned him, and he said, listen, do right. Stop that sinning by righteousness. Now, let me just slow that down. Stop that sinning by, I should have said, doing righteous things. I was reading a brother Richard Jordan's commentary on the book of Daniel. Wonderful commentary to read. And he made the point here, emotional and mental problems are a result of sin. Not all of them, but a large percentage that you find in ministry it's a result of sin. And he also makes the point, I mean, I've been Brother Rick made this point many, many years ago, and when I first came into the grace movement, when I first started rightly dividing the word of truth, I remember Pastor Richard Jordan mentioned that the middle word of the middle letter of the word I of the word pride in our English language is the letter I. Pride, the middle letter is I. In the English word that we use for sin or sin, what's the middle letter? It's I. And I've never forgot when he said that, and it makes such sense. So Nebuchadnezzar ultimately, if you drop down to verse 37, it says here, now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. So if you've got mental issues and emotional problems, that's a result of sin. Not once again. That's I know I'm painting with a broad stroke here, and I'm running off the fumes of a faithful man here. This is not my saying, but you know what? Brother Rick Jordan's been in ministry for 50. In fact, I think it's 60 years now. He's been around a long time. He's seen a lot of people with a lot of problems. And I thought that was worth the mention today. Anyway, we're going to see next time that what does Nebuchadnezzar do with that advice, that counsel that Daniel gives him? What does he do with it? Well, we'll read next time. He didn't do a whole lot with it. And that's going to be a wonderful next section of this chapter that we're going to cover. Anyway, folks, also one verse that you want to, in fact, two more things. A verse out of one of the books in time past. It's the book of Proverbs. If you go to Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 34, and you just compare it with verse 27 of Daniel 4, have a look at that. It's really, really interesting. And for you and I today in this dispensation grace, remember when we're reading Daniel, we're in time past. We're not in the but now part of the Bible. We're in time past. We're in the prophetic program. We're not in the mystery. Okay. If you go over to our books, what are those? Well, glad you asked. Romans through Philemon. Those books are written to us. Those books are our mail. Okay. And when we read through Paul's epistles, quite often, especially like in the book of Ephesians, Romans 2. In fact, let's quickly have a look. Come with me to Ephesians. Ephesians is a chapter 5. Paul speaks of this putting on and putting off. You put on and you put off. And, normally I can go straight to the verse. Right now, in the moment, let's look at Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4. If you drop your eye down to verse 22, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lusts, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be ye angry, and sin not. Let the sun not go down in your wrath, neither give place to the devil, and so on and so forth. You see that, and if you go back to Romans, the back end of the book of Romans, you also read about that put off, put on principle. Now in Daniel chapter 4, that is what Daniel is telling Nebuchadnezzar. Put on righteousness. Quit the sin stuff and do right, and that will give you tranquility. What ultimately happens to Nebi? Well, he becomes a madman. Anyway, that's something to think about today. Folks, wherever you are around the world, thank you for listening today. If you have the heart to, please share this on your socials. And remember to keep your sword sharp, soldier. Until we meet again next time, if the Lord tarries, grace and peace to you. Maranatha.